Today, I'm going to be showing you how to do this within Three.js, Blender, and GSAP. Look at that. What is up, everybody? Gary Simon here. So today we've got a good one. We're stepping back into the world of Three.js, and if you haven't been following along, within the past month or two, I've been covering a lot of Three.js. So this is a part of a playlist here on YouTube. Definitely watch at least the first one before you jump into this. I would recommend watching them all and then getting to this point, because today we're going to be hopping into Blender, which is a free 3D software for creating 3D environments, and we can mix the two. We can build our geometry and our textures and stuff in Blender, which is what we're going to do, and then we're going to import them into the web via Three.js, and we're going to be able to put them on a web page. So just real quickly, once again, to show you the project here, this phone was completely made here in Blender. Going to show you how to do that. It was a little bit tricky in some areas, and I had to redo a part, but that is, it is what it is. I'm not by any means an expert. I'm more of a beginner when it comes to Blender. I used to teach it years ago, but then stepping back into it, I'm a newbie, especially with UV unwrapping, and you'll see some hiccups and stuff, but eventually I do figure it out, and we'll all learn together that way. All right, if you haven't yet, make sure to subscribe, and let's get started. Now, wait one moment. You're about to watch me work with front-end development techniques. Now, if you're new and you're an aspiring front-end developer, you should definitely check out Scrimba's front-end developer career path. They've recently launched their front-end development career path, which is a collection of courses that cover HTML, CSS, JavaScript, React, and much, much more, as you see. It's over 75 hours of awesome content. There are hundreds of interactive coding challenges, and it's all geared towards helping you go from beginner to someone that's hireable as a front-end developer. So check out the first link in the description below to get 50% off. All right, so the first thing we're going to do is we open up the YouTube description, click on this GitHub link to go to the Three.js Webpack Starter, and we'll go to code, copy this, or just click that button, and then go to View, Terminal, and I have Visual Studio Code open here without, there's no folder open just yet. We're gonna hop into my code folder, wherever you wanna store your projects. We're gonna git clone, right click to paste that, and we're gonna put it in just Three.js awesome phone. Okay, whatever. That's gonna be the name of the folder that this all gets put into. So cd Three.js awesome phone, and then we want to npm install, npmi rather, and that is going to install all of the dependencies. All right, and then after that we are going to hit code. Wait, no. Yeah, code open. That'll just open up in another one. So we're in this folder now, and then we can go to view terminal once again and npm run dev. And once this gets done running, it's going to open up your default browser, and this is our default Three.js starter. I highly recommend, if you're new to Three.js, watching my previous videos in this playlist, and that way you can understand what's happening here. I'm not going to go into details about the boilerplate that makes all of this work. All right, so definitely do that. So we're going to hop into our script.js. This is where all of our Three.js work is going to be completed. We're going to come back to this, but for now, we're going to switch focuses to Blender. All right, so I already have Blender installed, and I'm going to load that up, and we are ready to rock. Okay, so real quickly, if you're brand new to Blender, this is a massive program with a million features. I'm just gonna go over maybe 0.01% of them that will be necessary for you to follow along. So navigation controls, you need to know how to move around in this space, this 3D space. So I've changed some of these default keyboard shortcuts in the mouse, controls, but So I'm not, and I don't remember what the default ones are. So just go ahead to Google. There's a million tutorials on like how to pan, zoom, rotate, and basically you're able to rotate around the scene. For me, I have it on my fourth mouse button. It might be middle mouse button by default. You can try that. You can hold shift in that keyboard, or not keyboard, but mouse key, or is that a key? No, it's a button. And you'll be able to pan, and then your mouse scroll wheel, you can zoom up. those are the three things you need to be able to do essentially. So we want to make a phone, and a phone is kind of like a cube, right? Except it's in a rectangle format, and it has, we could use this, but I don't want to use this because I want to have like rounded corners. So it's, in a sense, it's like a rounded rectangle, right? Like for the four corners of the phone. And so to do that, we're just going to hit, we're going to make sure this is selected, just left click and delete it. Now we're going to Shift A, and we're going to add a mesh, and you have all these default primitives that you can use. We just want a plane, all right? Now, also, when you're interacting with objects, you need to know how to move them, rotate them, and scale them. So to rotate them, we're going to hit R on our keyboard, and you can move it like this, or you can constrain it to a specific axis, which is X, Y, or Z. I can never remember which is which, so I'm always experimenting. Let's do X 90. No, I want to do Y 90. There we go. We want to be facing like this. Notice how it's in the middle of this, I forget what that's called, but basically it's the origin point, yeah. We want to scale this because obviously a phone is not square. So we want to scale it though on the Z up and down axis. So S for scale, and then we're going to constrain it to Z. There we go. And this, I'm just going to eyeball it. We don't have to be 100% accurate. This looks like a pretty good width. Maybe I'm going to do a little bit more. Right there. And that's our phone. See how easy that is? Okay. So now, another thing you need to understand is right now you're in different modes. You have modes. We are in the object mode where you can just select an entire object. If you want to get access to the vertices and the edges and the faces, as they're called, you go to edit mode. All right. And now we can see these little dots, these vertices. And right now they're all selected by default. And that's good. That's what we want. We want to hit a specific keyboard shortcut to round these corners off. I think it is Control-Shift-B. Yes, it is. Okay. And so now, notice how it's doing that. In conjunction, maybe right around here, we're going to use our mouse scroll wheel to round off the edges slightly. We'll say right around there. And that's good. Okay. So now, once we have that, we'll also notice these little icons. We're in vertex select mode, so we can select individual vertices. We can also select edges. So if we select that middle one, we can select these edges right here. And then also we can select the entire face, which this here is a face. So with the face selected, we can hit E to extrude, and it's going to constrain us automatically on the, I think it's the X-axis. And just give yourself the thickness of what you think a phone should be. That's pretty thin, and I think that's going to work just fine for us. Now, with that same face selected, we're going to hit E again to extrude it once more, but this time we're not going to extrude it, we're going to scale it, so hit S. And the reason I'm doing this is because we want or I personally want in like the inner portion of the phone, because usually when you have a phone here, you can see this, you have an edge around here, right? And for most of the modern smartphones, they don't go the picture doesn't go all the way to the edge, all right? So right there looks pretty good right there to me. Never mind all this craziness that's occurring right there. And then what we can do, actually, I'm gonna undo that. We're gonna extrude that again, S. There, because I think something funky was happening. So now we've taken that in, and I want to have a little bit more white space, so to speak, on the top portion of the screen. And so what I'll do is first we will move it, and G is move on for what do you call? What is this app? Blender. So G is move, and we want to move it only on the Z axis. So I'm going to come down here. I think right there is good. So we have a little bit more white space up here, and it's pretty much even all around on the left, right, and bottom. All right, so that is good. One thing that we want to do with that face currently selected is we want to split it or separate it into its own object. So right now we're only dealing with one object, that plane right there. we wanted to separate this into its own, and that way when it comes to UV unwrapping, which I'll explain later, we could just deal with that one object itself, because we only want the texture to be placed onto this face right here. So to sort of separate it, make sure the face is selected still, we hit P by selection. So now we have a plane 001 and a plane, and if we go back to object mode, we can select just this portion and hit, don't do this, but I'll just show you, G and like X. You can see now it is separated from there. All right, so undo that. And now at this point, I want to add just like a couple buttons on the side. And so to do that, we'll Shift A, Mesh, Cube. Now we're going to scale this down quite a bit. We're going to G, and then on the Y-axis, move it. And then we'll go to G on the Z-axis and move it up. And then we're going to G, X, S for scale on the X-axis. Now, it would be funny if we had a phone with buttons that stuck out that large. So we're going to scale that on the Y-axis. All right, that's looking pretty decent. And then we're going to scale on the Z-axis. All right, so let's duplicate it, Shift D, and then put Z, because by default, when you duplicate something, it puts you into move mode, so you don't have to hit G already. And that's fine right there. All right, now I'm going to take both of those, and we're going to join them into a single group, or a single object rather. So with both of them selected, you hold Shift, just like both, and we can go ahead and hit, I think it's, is it J? Yeah, Control J. Now that puts them into single, and we could take this and just rename it to buttons. Eventually we're just gonna merge everything together, so I guess that doesn't even matter. So now we have three different objects at this point, and now we're gonna go to the portion where, hey, we're done with the modeling. Let's go ahead to the UV unwrapping. So let's come up here, UV editing, just click it, and we'll have this little grid that shows up. So this is, UV unwrapping is one of those things, it's difficult. It's a difficult concept to explain. But basically, we can look at this phone as individuals, and we can say, hey, we know exactly how, you know, a user interface like JPEG or PNG or whatever should look or fit onto this. But the computer doesn't know exactly how to do that. And so UV unwrapping is kind of the process by which you achieve that. So what we'll do is, let me open up or show you Adobe XD. We're going to use this example right here. And I'll try to remember to include this JPEG that I'm about to create. Basically, we want to get as large. Actually, no, we can just export this right here. So if I go to File, Export, Selected, I'm going to choose JPG. You could use PNG, but I'm going to use JPG because I know it works with that. I don't want anything funky happening because I haven't done this yet. We're going to change this folder into code, Three.js awesome phone, static. I'm just going to put it there. And then I'm also going to copy this URL or the folder location. And by the way, that was at 2x, so it's going to give us two different images. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to open up right here the 2x version. So now we can kind of see what's happening over here. Now in order for us to see it on this phone, we're going to switch over here to viewport shading. And then with this object, let's go to object mode. With this selected, make sure that that inner phone face is selected. We're going to come over here to materials. We're going to hit new. And under base color, we're going to hit this button and we're going to put in image texture. I know this is a lot of steps, but if you do this a few times, it becomes second nature. And we're going to hit open. And we're going to paste that in again, and we're going to choose phone X. Now this is the part of the UV unwrapping that can be frustrating because clearly this is not the correct manner in which we want things to happen. So if we go back to edit mode, we can now see these vertices. These vertices are representative of the vertices on this portion right here. So if I just take these top ones, for instance, and I hit G, and you can move these vertices in the UV mode just like you do in the 3D space, and then hit Z, or not Z, it's only X and Y that you can do this, so just Y, and then move these over, take these ones at the bottom, G, Y, and then we take all of them, hit R. Now we can rotate it to the correct orientation. So R, what would it be? 90. Just hit 90 on your keyboard. And then we can take these top, G, Y, the left ones, G, X, the right ones, G, X. Something's funky is happening though. G, I see in the preview there's something weird happening. I'm not sure if that is going to remain a constant because I did not plan on that. Let's see here. Well, we'll go ahead and we're going to see if it ends up actually doing that. There's like a distortion that's occurring right through here. So if that's the case, I'll have to... Not good. Let's see. Maybe I can back up. I'm going to select all. I'm just going to rotate from this point. All right, and then we'll try it again. GX. Yeah, it's still occurring. Shoot. Unfortunately, it did not do this to me when... Let's select this, and I'm gonna right click, I'm gonna hit U to unwrap. That may have been what I needed to do. So now, I forgot that step. If I GY, it looks like it still might be doing that. I'm not sure. Well, we'll see. Now I'm gonna take all of them and then rotate them 180. Yeah, it's still doing that. Well, we'll see if that's something that will not be an issue when we go to do this normally. Because I could tell it's like just going straight through here. Either way, we're gonna continue on and just ignore that. Unreal. I'm new to UVN editing, unwrapping rather. So now we're gonna take this phone here, we're gonna hit new. We're gonna change the base color. If you wanted to go light, it's perfectly fine. Or you can go dark. Actually, I think I'm just gonna go dark. And then we'll take these. We'll make those dark too. Okay. So now at this point, assuming it's how you want it to be, which it's not because it's doing that annoying thing for me, we're gonna go to File, we're going to Export, and we're gonna use GLTF. And then we're going to also come down. We want a GLTF separate because we want the textures. And then we're going to select, we're going to copy into our static folder. And under include, we want to select, we didn't do I didn't select the object yet. Yeah, I forgot a step. Let's choose all these, all three, and then just Control J, and that will join them. Let's do this again. Export, GLTF, separate, and we'll go in here, include selected objects, and this is all good. All right, So let's see what ends up happening here once we try to actually import this thing. Whew. Okay, so now we have to import a few things in order to make this all work. And I guess the first thing we'll do is we'll get rid of that spinning little, what do you call that geometry, that sphere thing, that ring. So we're just going to get rid of this. Oh, no. We're going to get rid of this, all these three things. And then we're also going to get rid of the thing that makes it spin, which is down here. We'll just uncomment that. And now when we save it, we don't see it anymore. Okay. Now we need a way to actually import that GLTF file. So there's, in the examples, there's something called a GLTF loader. So I'm going to import that. So this is the line that you want right here. And then we also, from that, are going to create a constant called GLTF loader, and then new GLTF loader right there. So I guess under right here, our phone, whatever, we'll go ahead and get that imported. So the first thing that we need to do is to reference our GLTF loader, and we're going to load, and then the location of it. So if we go to our static folder, we'll see we have, I should have renamed that, or named that something better at least than untitled, Unreal. So what we'll do is just put in untitled.gltf, and then in the second parameter, we pass in GLTF, and in here, we're going to put in scene.add gltf.scene. All right, so that should add it to our scene. So it's there, but we can't see it because it's black, and the background's black. So what I'm going to do is a transparent background. So I'm going to go to our CSS, which is style.css. We're going to just do background gray for now. Actually, we'll just go real light. And then we're going to come over here, and we're going to go to the renderer, and we're going to put alpha true. Hit save. And now we can see a side of a phone right now, but we can't move it around yet. So we're going to use our dat.gui to move things around so we can see what exactly is happening. So in order to do that, and of course, if you don't know what dat.gui, like I mentioned, you should watch the other videos first in the series. So let's go back to our portion right here. And what we'll do is we're going to add the ability for us to rotate that phone on the X, Y, and Z axis. So GUI.add gltf.scene.rotation in the first parameter, and the first one will be X, and then we'll put a minimum of 0, we'll have like a max of 9, and then we'll replicate that, Shift Alt down, X, Y, and Z, and we'll save. So now we can start to move this thing around. Let's refresh that. Let's refresh that. Let's do Y. And we can see it is still doing that issue. I'll have to try to figure it out down the line anyhow. Now, right now it's extremely dark. We're also really close up to it. So I'm going to take our camera XYZ. We're just going to put this at 1. And let's see here. So what did I have that at? Yeah, it's at 1. Okay. And we're also going to scale it down. That's the issue. So we're also going to come over here, and we're going to, before we add to the scene, we're going to specify gltf.scene.scale.set. We're going to set on the X, Y, and Z. It's going to be 0.3, 0.3, 0.3. So let's take a look at that. All right. We're also going to, by default, change the scene rotation. So the Y, we kind of want it to be, we'll just set it like, we'll set it at 5 or so. So to do that, this is going to be rotation.set 0, 5 or 4.9. Let's just put 5. and 0 here. Oh, that's not what we want. So that's the helpful utility of this DAC.GUI. So it's like somewhere in the neighborhood of like 4 point. Is it that way? Let's see, 4 point. Well, I guess it's okay. It doesn't have to be perfect. Like 4.7 or so. So we'll change this to 4.7. And there we go. Now, why is it so dark and black and we can't see it? It's because of the strength of our light. Now, right now we have a point light, but I want to change this to an ambient light. So I'm just going to change this ambient light. And for the ambient light, we're going to specify a strength of 1 right here. So now we can start to see a little bit better our light. All right, so at this point, I'm gonna see if I can fix and figure out why this distortion is occurring here in the texture itself. All right, so what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna delete this interface. So I'm in edit mode. I have just the inner portion selected. And by the way, in order to do that, you can just, you just Alt and left click on one of the vertices. I'm in vertex mode right here, vertex mode, and select all of them. I'm just gonna hit delete. Let's see, we're gonna delete. Actually, we can just select this face and hit delete. There we go. Now, does that still give me that inner portion? Yes, it does. We can also delete that. So Alt left click in face mode. All right, so now we just have this empty portion. Let me switch back to, let me see here. There we go, we're in perspective mode now. All right, so now what I can do is take edges and then just Alt left click. So we have all the edges, and we can create a face out of those. And then to do that, we hit F, and now that gives us a face. We're going to do the same thing we did before and hope to God it works. E to extrude, S to scale. And if it does it again, I'm going to be quite frustrated. Let's GZ. There we go, we moved it down. All right, and then at this point, we're going to separate it. So to separate it, we hit P by selection. All right, so now we have that. Let's go to edit mode, make sure we have all this selected. We're going to write, or we're gonna hit U rather, unwrap that. And now, let's see here. Usually I thought it would show up here on this portion. Oh yeah, we'll go ahead, yeah, that's right. We'll go to, over here, we have our, this selected. Let's select, there we go. Well, for now, I'm just gonna delete that. Oh, in edit mode. I need to go back to object mode. And that's not what we want. We want to make sure we select that. There we go. There. Now we're going to see if this works this time. So one thing I'm not certain about is why it's not showing up the vertices over here. Oh, there they are. Okay. So let's try this again. We're going to select all. Well, let's select all of them. Yep. Then R 180. No, just 90. Get these moved back over here. G, Y. I guarantee you somebody is who's much better at Blender is thinking, what am I doing? And hopefully that person or those persons will let us know in the comments about why this, how this could be so much better. It looks like it fixed the issue though. There, and I can't really tell you why it fixed or how it fixed the issue. Of course. All right, so we'll go back to object mode. We will Control J. I will export this. All right, let's go back here and see if it actually worked. Get rid of that. Now, I'm not sure if it's using the right file here, because I know, oh, was it selected? There we go. Now, once I did that, it is now working. Oh, thank God that worked. Okay, so what's cool is now we have the ability to transform and move this thing all over the place. You can add extra lights to highlight other portions of it, like, you know, the, let's see, like these buttons and stuff. Like you can have light shining, so you can add point lights and all that other stuff. For now, that's a little bit unnecessary. What we'll do now is I'll show you how we can animate this and make it move upon browser load. So let's go ahead and go back here. We're going to use GSAP for this, the GreenSock animation platform. If you haven't yet used GreenSock, I have a bunch of videos and even courses on GreenSock. So we're going to import GSAP from GSAP. We're going to go to View. We're going to go to Terminal. We're going to create a new terminal, and we're going to npm i. Oops, stupid me. npm i GSAP rather. All right, so now we have GSAP installed as a dependency, and we're going to create real quickly a timeline. So let TL equals GSAP timeline. Now we can reference it inside here after scene add, and we can put TL. Actually, let's do it after this. So TL.2. And we're going to go and specify gltf.scene.rotation. And inside of here, we'll put in y. And then to determine these values, we'll go ahead and work over here. So where do we want our animation to start at? All right, so let's make it come in from the side, maybe like this. So 3.3, that's fine. So y will be 3.3. Duration will be 1. Oh wait, no. It's going to start off here at 3.3. So scene rotation, let's see, right there. All right, and then where's it going to? It's going to be like 4.7, which is what it was before. So now 4.7. Let's see if that works. Refresh. There we go. Let's also do a scale one. So same thing, scale. We'll put in, we'll make it larger. So we'll just put scale X, let's put 0.2 because it's at 0.3. So Y is going to be 0.2 and Z 0.2. Duration 1. We'll have this start also with an offset at the same time. So we put negative equals 1. So that should scale it as well. Look at that. All right, and then maybe we'll make it move over to the side or something like that. So then we'll put TL.2 gltf.scene.position, and we'll put X, we'll move it over 0.5 units. All right. After that, all right, so you can see what kind of happens there. Let's do 2 more. So let's do rotation. Just copy this. Rotation will be Y. Let's do like 5 point. I had in my reference code 5.4 with a duration of 1. Let's see what that does. Wrong way. Let's see. .1. So we'll put 4.1 there. And then also We'll do a scale just to scale it up slightly. TL.2 gltf.scene.scale. We'll do X 0.25, Y 0.25, and Z 0.25, and then duration of 1. And we'll make this offset negative equals 1. All right, so now, and perhaps this could show, you know, you could have some text here. I think I'll do that, but just as my own little exercise, just because we're kind of already quite far into this. And so, yeah, awesome stuff. All right, all. Hopefully you enjoyed that. You learned something new. I warned you at the beginning. It was a little bit iffy in some parts, but fortunately I got it to work, and I'm not sure why it created the issue in the first place. Like I mentioned, if you're a little bit better at the UV unwrapping process and 3D in general, let me know what the issue was in the comments. I'm very interested personally to know. Anyhow, if you enjoyed that, make sure to subscribe, and I'll see you soon. Goodbye.